Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your moderator, GBTA Vice President and Director of Global Travel Sourcing and GPO with Oracle, Rita Visser.
Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to take a minute to introduce my panel, and then we're going to start with a quick intro. So off to my far right, we have Ilya Kostov from Amadeus. Jeff Lobel from Delta Airlines. Heading to my right, we have Yannick Hoyles from IATA. Jack Lever from Booz Allen. All the way off to the left, then, we have Ann Deary from S&P Global. So we're here today to talk about NDC. And I was in a session yesterday, and a graphic came up, and people were asking a question, and they were polled. How many of you are looking at, starting, have already started, what are you doing with NDC? And surprisingly to me, there were 40% of the people in the room are just starting the NDC conversation. It's a conversation that I've been having with my suppliers for a number of years. This really isn't going to be an ABCs. We aren't getting into fundamentals here. We're going to hit some of the heavy stuff. I've got some experienced buyers here that I know really well. We've had a lot of conversations about NDC over the year. And so they'll be representing the buyer in the room really well with some great questions to some of the people in the ecosystem that are certainly going to make NDC happen for us. So Ann, I'm going to start with you. So you're a member of the TMAG. Do you want to first explain that and tell people what it's all about?
Sure, thank you. So the TMAG is an organization that IATA put together a couple of years ago. It represents the Travel Managers Advisory Group. It comprises of about 20 different travel managers from some of the top Fortune 500, Fortune 100 organizations in the United States. And we get together a few times a year, and we help IATA and the entire ecosystem supply chain really kind of hash through all the nuances of this NDC initiative. We are a sounding board for IATA. We also bring our concerns and requirements to the table as well. And we get educated on what each part of the ecosystem is doing in their progress to NDC. In turn, we go back out into the field and attend different presentations and association meetings so we can keep educating the other buyers.
Great, thanks. Jack, you're not necessarily a naysayer, but you've got some questions. Do you share the same enthusiasm about NDC that Ann does?
I'm certainly enthusiastic about it. It's certainly on its way, and we should all be prepared. But we do need to ask questions. Primarily in our world, we would say ask your TMC how prepared they are. How are they engaging with the GDS to be ready for you? So there's a lot of downstream things that are going to happen that we need to be asking questions now so that we're prepared when it is full stream.
Great. And as you can see, so Ilya is both representing the NDC and some of the OBTs. We've got an airline. Now let's talk to you, Yannick. IATA's got skin in the game. Talk to us about what you're thinking here.
Well, first, it's great to be here.
Welcome.
It's fantastic. It is great. But it's really important. I think the signal is that this is about collaboration. And over the last 2 days, it's what I've heard. I heard it from Lufthansa yesterday about saying we've got to collaborate to make this work together. I heard it from Siemens also yesterday. We've got to collaborate as a value chain. So I think that in all this journey to NDC, the most critical part of the journey is that we all work together to make it happen. Because it's not just about airlines. Of course, airlines want to move to a world of value creation where they're selling value, not a commodity. But ultimately, NDC, it's all about airlines wanting to sell more through the travel agent channel. That's what it's about. And to make that happen, it has to work for everybody. So we have to work together to unlock all these opportunities. So I'm feeling fantastic because right now things are going exactly the way they should do, which is people working together to solve the challenges, because it's not an easy journey.
It's not an easy journey. We've been on this journey for what it seems like years, but I think we're making progress. He talked about collaboration, Jeff. I'm just going to keep going down the line, but this isn't how it's all going to run. He talked about collaboration from a Delta perspective. What are some things that you see yourself doing, not just for the airline, but for the buyer in the room?
Yeah. First, I think it's helpful to take a step back here. We're noticing, and I've also observed over the last couple of days, just mentioning the term NDC and we lose at least half the room.
It's full though.
So let's just briefly talk about what are we actually trying to accomplish here from a commercial and a market perspective. So the world not that long ago was a lot simpler, and there's nothing really simple about distribution, but the idea of putting together an origin and a destination and a fare is a relatively simple concept. And that was the concept really for decades. And the GDSs did a fantastic job of accumulating those offers and making them available very efficiently in the marketplace. The issue with that, as things have evolved, is that that was really maybe too simple of a world, because we can't have a one-size-fits-all experience for our customers, and particularly those that are here in the room with us. We've got people that are going into business meetings, we have people flying long haul and short haul, we have people with different preferences, and it demanded a more flexible product line. And so we've developed that as airlines. And that wasn't even enough, and then we developed a lot of ancillary options as well. And so the product offerings that carriers are now making available in the market have just grown beyond the ability of the GDSs to really put those offers together. And so what we're trying to accomplish here is changing the way that offers are created and having the airlines be the ones that put these offers together. That way, it's coming from one source and you don't have a fragmented experience when you're having to go to multiple, in order to get these products, you have to go to multiple channels at multiple points in time, and you have to kind of actively accumulate the experience that you're looking for. So we want to make that a one-stop shop with the airlines creating the offers, and that's really what this is all about. So when you talk about how to go about doing that and the Delta perspective on that, we understand that this is a lot of change, and that there's a legacy infrastructure here that's existed for decades, and we are evolving to something new. And that's a little bit scary, and it's challenging. And so we've talked to our customers about how should we go about doing that. The guiding principles for us at Delta are really, we have two. The first is maximize the value that we're creating to our customers, and that means stop the fragmentation and make things simpler and more efficient. The same people that are shopping for airline tickets are used to going to one website right now where they can buy a toothbrush, and they can buy a business suit, and they can buy a set of deck furniture. And if they can do that on one website, we can certainly have a simpler travel experience taking place within this ecosystem. And so that is what we're trying to accomplish, but we know that we want to do it with as little disruption as we possibly can. And so we've spent a lot of time speaking with those of you in the room, and the clear direction is it needs to go through the GDSs, so we get all the value that we're creating without disrupting the business any more than we absolutely have to. And so our journey is centered around it's centered around listening to our customers and working through the GDSs and bringing airline-created offers to the marketplace. And so we are at the cusp of what for Delta is going to be. We've been working on creating the APIs to do that, and we have our shopping API live in the marketplace right now at an offshore OTA as a proof of concept. But the rubber really hits the road in the coming 30 to 60 days when we begin our GDS integrations.
I'm actually going to stop you there because,
Okay.
I'm going to come back to you after I hear from Elia from what the GDSs are doing.
Right.
You said two things that sparked my interest: simplicity and efficiency, and then disruptors. So how can they live in the same space? But I'm coming back to you.
All right.
Elia, he mentioned GDSs have got to play a part of the game. I know that your other GDSs that are here in the room are doing work just like you are. Tell us, corporate travel buyers are out there thinking, is this the end of the GDS? I personally don't think that it is, but tell us why you don't think it is.
Thank you for the question. So maybe I can put also a little bit of context and some numbers, right? So as we created the GDSs years ago, we created more than a technology hub. It's actually a marketplace. It's a marketplace where you have hundreds of airlines, tens of thousands of hotels, and tens of thousands of agencies and millions of travelers transact. And it has been a world of evolution. So in Amadeus, we spent about 6 billion euros in the last 15 years or so to completely transform our platform. We ditched the mainframes, the last mainframes 2 years ago, and all of our investments since then have been forward-facing. In the meantime, we also created what is the largest airline platform, I think, in the world. We have about 200 airline customers in our airline reservation, airline merchandising systems. We reported about 1 billion passengers boarded for the first 6 months of this year on our technology. And we created a marketplace, a global marketplace that transacts about 44% or so worldwide share. But it has been also an interesting transition with the advance of NDC, right? So NDC has been a long time coming. Standards have been evolving, and we have been working along the NDC journey, starting with an early XML project we did with EasyJet back in 2007, 2008. But what has really happened for us in the last couple of years is that as we put together the assets we have on the airline side, as we put together the assets we have on the distribution side, we created also a NDC advisory board of airlines such as Delta. So we have Delta, we have American, we have United, we have Air Canada, we have airlines from Europe, we have airlines from Asia Pacific. On the advisory board, we also have American Express Global Business Travel, we have CWT, we have Agencia, Flight Center, BCD. And what we've been able to work, to Yannick's point about collaboration, what we've been able to do with those agencies and those airlines is to start showing the first live bookings in our NDC environment. We started this in 2018. I think on Sunday at the show, we announced the first live bookings with American Airlines and American Express GBT. And what was significant about that project, the latter project, was that it was focused not only just on the bookings, but actually on the end-to-end process. Because what our customers are telling us, what the TMCs are telling us, what the corporations are telling us, is that the NDC experience has to be same or better than they're used to today. So it has to work in terms of performance.
Oh, it's got to be better.
Exactly. So, but we also have a
Yes.
high bar in terms of performance, in terms of scalability, right? So that's why we have been working also with IATA to develop standards around performance, around post-booking servicing, around scalability. And as those standards are now coming around, which is the first step in that process, we are looking forward to, again, continue to engage with our airline partners, with our travel agency community partners, in order to bring NDC to reality. And when I say bring NDC to reality, again, not focused just on a few live bookings, but talking about performance and scale.
I'm going to interrupt you. Go. You can interrupt, of course.
Good, thanks.
I'm just in the middle.
Right. I really support what my colleagues have just said. But also, I just want to kind of expand it slightly, is that it's true, it's obvious, it's critical. The GDSs are a key partner to bring NDC to life. There's no doubt. I guess for two reasons. They've got the reach for airlines and to all these travel agents, and also the support they provide to travel agents in terms of mid and back office integration, for example. So as Jeff says, with the GDSs, as they move as aggregators, you're going to collect all these offers, it will make it much more smooth and simpler to their partners. However, it's important to know that there are also other opportunities out there as well, because with NDC, what we're doing, I mean, as Jeff said, we're kind of modernizing the way airlines are going to sell their products through the value chain, through the travel agent channel. And by modernizing it, we're bringing it from Edifact to Internet World. That's it. So kind of changing tracks. Now, you can understand on an Edifact track, it's pretty slow. And no startup's going to go and innovate in Edifact. But when you move it on the Internet track, wow, it can go real fast. Hence why the GDSs are embracing this, all three of them, and it's been great the last 2 days to hear all the announcements between the GDS and the airlines. But being in an internet world, moving airline distribution to travel agents in the world of internet, it opens a range of opportunities for startups, for new entrants. And that's really important because if you can get new entrants in a marketplace, it stimulates even more competition, more innovation, and at the end of the day, that is what's best for you as the customers and the end customers.
Who would have thought that Al Gore was helping all of us today? Ilya, you said something about 2007 and 2008 you did this thing. I'm going to go down to the buyers. You guys have been sitting there going, We've been having this same damn conversation since 2007. It's 2019.
Right.
What is the buyer community saying? Like, what's going to happen here? I'll let either one of you take that.
Well, I'll take it first. I mean, I think it was very interesting. I was in a peer-to-peer vertical on Sunday, and with the 25, 30, travel buyers out were at the table with me. When the NDC topic was put on the table, everybody scattered. They went to all the other different topics, including ground
What you said, Jeff.
transportation.
It's exactly what Jeff said, yep.
Yeah, and I thought that was, one, very disconcerting and eye-opening, because I am so fully engaged in how this initiative is coming to fruition, right? I want to stay relevant as a professional in this industry because this is the most transformative initiative that has happened in our industry since e-ticketing. And it's even bigger than e-ticketing. And this is the first time that this collaborative environment has ever existed in our industry in which the buyer actually has a voice, in which every part of the supply chain actually wants to hear what we want and what we need. And we are, the TMAG is representing all of the buyers out there, and we speak up. We have very engaging conversations when we go to, these big air summits once a year. And, so I think it's really, really important that we are all, wrapping our heads around this. Even if you can't touch and feel it today, it is coming, and it's going to come very fast, like Yannick just said,
And that feedback, Ann, is critical because it's really what we're all basing our actions on here is listening to the marketplace and what the needs are, and then making sure that we're doing the absolute best that we can to satisfy what it is that you guys are looking for. And it's the feedback that we're getting is great. Just please keep it coming. It's our guiding light, and it's the way we're mapping our path forward.
So I'm going to take his. And Jack, I'm going to jump to you. You're not on the TMAG, but you're having conversations with a number of your suppliers all the time about this.
Right.
Talk to some of the buyers in the room on the questions that you have for this part of the ecosystem as well as the ongoing ecosystem.
So there's a lot of information that's out there, and even this conference shows us, right, multiple NDC sessions. And you try to gather it all in, and you hear a little bit here, a little bit there. I think, Rita, what we're looking for is we're getting to this point where we need to start to consolidate the dispersion of the information. Right, so that we have single voices talking, point people who are on point for these conversations, because there's still way too much discussion going on. And you know what happens when there's too much, right? There becomes these urban myths that develop, right? Because somebody misinterprets something or they hear somebody say something in the wrong way. So we need to consolidate the information that's being said. The other thing I would say, we're buyers, right? So we have greater audiences or internal customers in our organizations. We really need to start to be looking at the end users right now, right? Our travelers. How's NGS, how is NDC going to impact our travelers and get feedback from them as well? Because we can take that feedback. Because ultimately, right, that's when our phone rings. It rings when the traveler doesn't understand something. So now is the point. Consolidate information. Let's engage all of our end customers here and really start to move it forward faster.
Can I just, so in terms of how we're trying to actually complement with the work the TMAG's doing, it's this notion of, we created a leaderboard of airlines about, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago now. So this is, we got to a point where NDC was doing pretty well in terms of capability, but very, very few transactions. So we said, right, how do we get to critical mass? We said, well, if you go with the 290 IATA member airlines that represent 90% of air traffic, it'll take a long time.
90% of air traffic, you said?
IATA, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So what we said is,
number.
let's take a group of airlines who are really committed to drive NDC as early adopters, as leaders. And 21 airlines put their hand up and said, yeah, we're in. Actually, when I said to these 21 airlines, I'm going to show your name to the world, they said, whoa, wait a minute, don't take that. But very quickly said, it's okay, we're in. These 21 airlines weigh a third of IATA passenger volumes. And the fact that they put their hand up saying, we're committed to a target of 20% of our indirect sales, so travel agent sales, either direct connect or via an aggregated GDS, will come from an NDC plug by the end of 2020. That's their commitment. And this is really important because it was a big signal to the industry, to the value chain. To people like Ilya from Amadeus say, hey, it's worth investing in this. To the TMC saying, hey, it's serious. So it gives a lot of momentum, enables people to focus on moving forward with those who want to take the risks of being leaders, but from a value chain perspective, and I can just finish, Rita.
Okay, I'll let you finish.
And this is not just about these 21 leaders, because these 21 leaders, when they'll have got to 20%, to do that, they'll have broken down the barriers to adoption. They'll have sorted out the technology with Emirates, Sabre, Travelport, and other partners.
I love that you have a leaderboard. You know, I just asked a number of, I kind of did this same thing when I was in Switzerland, or wherever I was, Geneva, about a month and a half ago.
Yep.
And I asked Leaderboard Airlines to please stand up and tell me what percent of spend they had going through NDC channels, and nobody would answer the question.
That's fair.
At the end of 2020, will someone give me that answer?
You'll have to ask the airlines individually, but yeah.
Maybe I can add a little bit to this, right? So, and that's an interesting point. Some airlines are counting their direct distribution as part of the numbers, others don't, right? So people have different measures.
If I may, the direct distribution is not part of the 2020 challenge.
All right,
okay? We're taking that because it would be too easy otherwise, and it wouldn't be
It's
relevant.
good to hear, because then I'm surprised to see how some airlines are at 50%. But
They're lying.
Having said this, I think, look, as a corporate buyer, I think you guys need to ask a lot of the right questions, right? Today, for example, when I speak to our corporate buyers, so in Amadeus, we have 19,000 employees. We operate in 190 countries. We travel around the world. We have a pretty complex travel program. When I talk to our corporate buyer, he has a deal. He has corporate deals with some of our key airline partners where you have a % off the published HRM fare, et cetera, et cetera. He has priority boarding, and he has also preferred seating, all as part of you. If you're an employee of Amadeus, it doesn't matter your status on Delta, you will get that preferred seating and that priority boarding as part of a corporate bundle. So what are you going to get with NDC, right? And again, if this is something we do today, if our experience today is I can do a corporate bundle, to your point, we're investing so much money in NDC, right? The amount of money that some of the numbers I quoted in research and development we're investing, we want to see a return on that investment, right? That's why we're rooting for NDC.
Yep.
But the question is, again, when are we going to start seeing this differentiated content? What else can we do other than, simple corporate bundles, which we can do today, et cetera? These are, I think, the type of questions that you, the corporate buyer, should ask. And then again, ask about how all the players in the value chain are collaborating together.
Yeah.
Can I make 2 points?
You can.
The first is with respect to the leaderboard. Delta is not on the leaderboard. We respect what the leaderboard is trying to accomplish. But for us, as I mentioned earlier, what we are after is driving customer value and minimizing disruption. And hitting a certain percentage at a certain point in time is just not a metric that we measure success by. So with all due respect to the leaderboard, we have a different definition of success. That doesn't mean that we're not very much part of the NDC journey, so I just wanted to clarify that. The second point is Jack raised NGS, which stands for Next Generation Storefront, and I hope that's a familiar term to many of you. The nightmare that we have, the thing that keeps us awake, is the idea that we're going to march up this mountain and create these bundles for you. And they're going to be beautiful offers, and they'll be so beautiful that you'll want to give them to your kids for Christmas. If there's nowhere to display those out in the world on your OBTs or elsewhere, then we haven't really accomplished much of anything. And so we really need a parallel effort of NDC offer creation plus next generation storefront displays so we can truly capture the value of what it is that we are doing. And so another thing to be discussing with your OBT and with your agencies is what is their plans for adopting next generation storefront so we can actually display the offers we are working so hard to create.
And come to the Amadeus booth and see a next generation storefront.
Perfect. Look at those NGS and NDC. We got letters flying all over. They're telling me it's time to wrap up. I know everybody in here probably wants us to go on for quite a bit longer, but I will tell you from a buyer perspective, Anne and Jack and myself are happy to talk to anybody. We're really passionate about the initiative itself. by all means, have conversations with every single one of your suppliers. It's an important topic. We have to drive people. It will drive efficiencies and opportunities for us and our travelers that they finally deserve. Help me in thanking my esteemed panel, and have a great afternoon.